I would encourage any founder of a business to make sure you're part of your industry association and that you look for other groups of founders who can help you navigate this difficult journey.
Hello, I'm Steph McGovern. Welcome to episode 2 of Adapting to the New Now, brought to you by NatWest. Now, this week we're going to be discussing how business owners can roadmap a way back to scale quickly and, of course, plan a successful 2020 recovery. I'm delighted to say with us, we have Merilee Karr, who's CEO and founder of UnderTheDoormat, which is an award-winning luxury short-term rental company. It's lovely to have you here, Merilee. Thanks very much for joining us.
Oh, wonderful to be here. Thanks for having me.
I want to ask you, your business is obviously reliant on people being able to travel, to stay in other people's homes, other accommodation. And obviously, we can't do that with the current lockdown rules with COVID. So what impact has this had on you? And what have you been able to do?
So I think there's two things. I mean, we have been able to host essential stays. So whether that's, NHS workers or people who wouldn't be able to travel back to their own country or other things like that. So we haven't been closed entirely. But that being said, I think the sector is down in many cases more than 90% compared to what we would be at this time of year. So obviously that has a huge impact because unlike a product, a service and a stay is something which is perishable. If it doesn't happen, you can't sell it later. So, of course, for the industry, that is really troubling. And, for the hosts who rely on that income, whether it's the companies who provide the services, or indeed the large platforms that rely on these bookings to generate income, the whole industry is impacted.
Yeah, it's that ripple effect, isn't it? Where just one business closing down can have an impact on so many other businesses. Can you see a way through it, Merilee?
Absolutely. I think actually I feel really positive about the direction of the sector. What we've seen is that our sector is lower risk compared to other alternatives because, of course, staying in a private home allows a certain degree of social distancing by its very nature because you have your own private space. And so we think that the sector will actually recover quicker than hotels, for example. And what we also expect is that, over the long term, things like corporate business travel, et cetera, will look at this as an alternative, where in the past they might have seen hotels as really the only viable option.
Yeah, so it sounds like there is an ability to adapt to a new now.
Absolutely. I think what we see is an increased focus on professionalism and standards in our industry. There are a great many traditional holiday homes providers and companies like UnderTheDoormat who operate in cities where those professional standards are equal to hotels, but providing that private accommodation in a home. And I think consumers are increasingly going to be looking for that because they're going to want to know that the right cleaning standards and health and safety and all these things are in place. But they also want to know that they can have the private space that only a home can offer them. Already in the UK, 24% of UK consumers in 2019 booked to stay in a home. That's already almost a quarter of the population. And I think that's going to increase. PwC predicts that our industry will be worth 52 billion in the UK by 2025. And I think that speed of accelerated change will happen quicker as a result of COVID.
Yeah, agility is always key in business, isn't it? Because there's always periods of uncertainty and pressure. Do you think your strategy then has changed because of all of this?
I mean, look, certainly there are things that have changed about the focus of consumers, et cetera. So at UnderTheDoormat, we're now very much focused for 2020 on more staycations, more corporate travel within the UK. And so looking at how we can attract customers from within the UK rather than international is, of course, very important. I think for us, we were in a way ahead of the curve because in our industry, we worked with Quality and Tourism to set up the industry accreditation. And so standards has been part of our DNA since I founded the company 6 years ago. And I think that has become increasingly important, both for consumers as well as for government to feel confident that the sector really does have the right standards in place to have that level of confidence.
And again, I suppose the title of this series, Adapting to a New Now, is relevant to every bit of your business. So it's not just the physicalities of running the business, but it's also the target setting. It's about adapting absolutely everything in your business to this new world.
Early days, we could see that the lockdown was coming. But we also saw a different need, which was NHS workers needed places to stay because they had vulnerable family members at home, et cetera. And so we launched as UnderTheDoormat NHS Homes. And very quickly, it turned into an industry-wide initiative with more than 30 companies across the UK, offering more than 2,500 properties. And to date, we've delivered more than £17 million of stays for free to NHS workers across the country. And that's something we're very proud of as an industry, that, despite the fact that our businesses are some of the most affected, that we've done the right thing and tried to help, the people who are helping all of us. And, we hope that out of that, new owners who might not have otherwise considered short-term rentals in the past, and, even government can consider our sector a realistic option for the future.
What's your advice then for business owners out there who are just, a little bit scared about everything going on? I know business leaders are used to uncertainty, but what would you say to them to just help them through this?
I mean, look, I think one of the things that's been really incredible for me is the amount of resource that's out there. Forums of business owners, industry bodies. The two that for me have been absolutely incredible are the Short-Term Accommodation Association, which is the industry body for our industry. We've actually seen membership double over this period because all of these property management companies, owners across the country who want guidance about how it's impacting our sector, what government's saying, how the regulations are changing, all these types of things, that industry body can provide that guidance for them so that they're not having to feel all alone in this situation. And the other one that's been incredibly valuable for me is the Supper Club. It's a forum of several hundred CEOs of fast-growing companies. And we've been able to share some of the challenges, how to access government funding, how to plan for the uncertainty. All of the things that we've talked about, there are founders who are struggling with these things. And it's like having a group of colleagues where you can work on these challenges and share best practice together. And I would encourage any founder of a business to make sure you're part of your industry association and that you look for other groups of founders who can help you navigate this difficult journey.
How desperate are you for a holiday?
I mean, to be honest, I still have a flight booked to Spain in July, which I'd booked back in December. And I'm very hopeful that by then we'll be able to travel there. So we'll have to see. But, travel's in my blood. I've visited, so many countries around the world during my corporate career and personally. And I just can't wait to get back to traveling, having those experiences, and hopefully also visiting my family in the US before the end of the year.
Yeah. Let's end on a positive, though. What do you think, Merilee, is the biggest opportunity for your sector?
I think the biggest opportunity is this collaboration and working together. And I think if we can come together as a sector, I think customers will choose us because they see that our sector is the right thing for right now. And as soon as they stay in a home, what Goldman Sachs has seen in the past is they often don't go back to staying in hotels because they can see how wonderful an experience it is to stay in the comfort of a home and have the quality of a hotel. Mm. And I think that in and of itself is going to be the big consumer change for all of us.
Yeah. Well, Merilee, lovely to talk to you. All I'm thinking now is even more that I'm desperate for a holiday. But thank you. Lovely to chat to you.
Wonderful to speak to you as well.
Do make sure you join us for the next episode of Adapting to the New Now. We're going to be talking about how to make sure you have effective marketing when consumer priorities are changing. So more from me next time.